Newshub poll from tonight. Let's have a look how it went.
Yes, the kingmaker is back. Winston Peters has clawed his way past the threshold and Luxon's path to...
Well, he's not back for 3 weeks yet. The projections, he might be back, but I don't like this certainty in language.
Power lies in his hands. Chris Hipkins has failed to turn the red ship around. It is still sinking 26.5%, only down 0.3. If anything but up is a catastrophe in the 20s. Nationals had the wind knocked out of its sails to 39.1%, down 1.8. And all acts acting up has crashed.
There you go, look at that though.
Their vote a mighty tumble down to the single digits, 8.8% down 1.3. The Greens picking up.
So this is what this means by looking at this, right? And if you look, the margin of error is 3.1%. The spread is about 7%. I'm not trying to fill anyone with false hope, right? It is an uphill struggle for the left, without question. It's the rights to lose right now, but it's not an insurmountable hill right now. I'm not going to even give you a statistical chances here. I'm being very clear. It's the rights to lose, but a couple more polls down. If Labor makes it to 30, who knows? Who knows? You could end up with a situation where Winston really does have balance of power that could put either side in. Now, I know what we think that means, but Winston is someone who always does what's best for Winston. So, yeah, I think we'll put it this way. You're not going to see, I don't believe you'll see Labor, the Greens and the Māori Party get enough now to get there by themselves. Was that fair, you think, Chewy? I think that's fair.
Maybe
not.
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I don't know.
I don't. But that's
I don't
my
know
gut.
about any of this, Pat. This is
all right.
This is like no one's going to romp home. This is going to be fucking close for everyone.
Right. Well, let's keep looking.
Labor loses 14.2%, up 1.9.
Now that's dramatic. 5.5% between ACT and the Greens. That's a dramatic shift. They've been level pegging for a long time.
And hold on to your hats. New Zealand First resurrected 5.2% across the line. Winston Peters is back. Te Pāti Māori's losing momentum, falling down to...
Now, look, let me remind us of this. The margin of error is 3.1. So that could be anywhere from about 3.6 or 3.7 to about 6.5. So, Winston Peters is back. No. The poll, he's within margin of error of missing by quite a long way, and he's within margin of error of being very comfortable. So let's just not exaggerate this language too much, eh?
Te Pāti Māori's losing momentum, falling down to 2.2. Top hot on their tails, 1.9, and New Conservatives 1.1. These three need an electorate seat to make it in. Now, this is where Peters' power really shows. Even with the Greens bringing in 18 MPs, Labor's pitiful 33, along with Te Pāti Māori's 3, assuming they hold their electorate, only get the left bloc to 54. You need 61, and Winston won't go there. Over on the right, though, Nationals 49 and ACT's 11 only get them to 60. One shy, they need New Zealand First 6. And as the reality that dawns on Christopher Luxon today, he made his intentions clear.
So the other thing that came out today, obviously Luxon has done this. And has realised that they are very likely not to get there with Winston. So after months of questioning, he's finally had to kowtow. And it puts him in a very awkward position. I'll explain why shortly.
We'll pick up the phone to Peters if he absolutely has to. Bouncing up and down in big blue machinery, not even a pole drop could wipe the grin off his face.
I'm in my happy place.
Christopher Luxon seizing a dream.
No, this is just every boy's dream to jump into a big tractor like this.
But this boy's dream is actually jumping behind the wheel of the country, and that dream is just within reach. Though it's going to be a stretch.
For New Zealanders watching this, I want them to understand there's a lot at stake here. There's an awful lot at risk. This will be a close election.
You're right.
Relentlessly on message.
They should definitely go blue. Yeah, preferably two blues would be good.
And today, rolling out a new one.
My strong preference is to form a strong and stable two-party coalition government between National and ACT.
Making his intentions clear, he will work with Winston, but he doesn't want to.
However, if New Zealand First is returned to Parliament...
I really dislike that it's a produced video, that they've said no comment, no comment, no comment, no comment. Then when they come out, it's a produced video because it feels contrived. I mean, that's their plan. Fair enough, they can have their own plan, but there's something weird about them having to make a produced video to say, well, maybe, Winston, maybe.
Parliament, and I need to pick up the phone to Mr. Peters to keep Labor and the coalition of chaos out. I will make that call.
And he better put Peters on speed dial. On this poll, he's back in the saddle.
And this is not our first rodeo.
Rodeo, what are you talking about? So, a couple of things, right? Speaking of ACT and their numbers, a couple of interesting, good-looking thirst traps last week had this thing to say about ACT. And I reckon ACT is going to not do as well. I think that they're not going to get as good a result on election day as they have been polling the last 6 weeks. I think they'll sit around where they are, and they may even drop a little bit. I really do. I really think the Greens will be by far and away the third biggest party, and I think it'll be ACT. And I think I just get the sense that they're not going. They've fired all their bullets that are going to get them traction, and so now it's like they're at the top of the hill. So the only way is down. They may hold where they are now or go down. I don't think they're going to increase that much. And that was after that conversation that they had with Sean Plunkett. And that conversation had to lead David Seymour to basically being, honest about what he thinks of cookers, for want of a better word, and what he had to think. And that, I remember we said this last week, we said that might just drive a couple of percentage points away from him. Now, something else has happened tonight. I can't give you all the information on this yet because I haven't seen it. But that guy who runs that Christian Family First group, Bob McCoskrie, runs a Monday night live stream, funnily enough, like all the other right-wing lunatics. And they had David Seymour on tonight. And I haven't watched the actual thing yet, but I want to show you the end of that conversation and how it finished up. This is how it finished up with, now these guys they're fully about, transgender issues. They're fully about, these are the guys that still talk about we should be allowed to smack our kids, right? That's still one of their absolute top priorities. And now it's like, just don't let girls be boys and toilets, and that, that's what they're all about. I haven't seen the interview yet, but I caught the end of it. And this was David Seymour wrapping up the conversation with Bob McCoskrie.
You were supposed to be, 20 minutes, and I've got someone calling at 5:30. So I'm going to have to love you.
David, really appreciate your time and all the best for the campaign.
Thank you, David.
I'm just sorry that so much of what you said wasn't true. It made for a much less pleasant discussion.
Seemed to go both ways, David. All the best for the campaign. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
It really did.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.
That audience that they've got, he hasn't given them the answers they want. And like we've said all the way through, there's this dilemma from them, these right-wing politicians, that they're pitching for these votes, they're pitching for that conspiracy theorist, they're pitching for the anti-trans vote, they're pitching for the anti-vax aid, they're pitching for the anti-mandate votes. That's what they've got. He's been actively going after that for a year. And then when they go on a show, I haven't seen the show yet, but I know the substance of it. I used to work with Bob McCoskrie. I know the substance of it. It's all going to be about bathrooms and gender and all that kind of stuff. That's what the whole conversation is going to be about. When he gets called to actually then have to speak the language of these people they've been courting, which is what we saw last week on Plunkett's show, he won't do it, and I think that's one of the main reasons we said he's going to be impacted in the polls. And what we're seeing in the very first poll after is a pretty big impact, Chewy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, oh, God. Everybody's tried to spread themselves up amongst the most unreliable groups. Oh, I really think this is going to be... It's both interesting and terrifying, this election. Like, I was talking with some of my workmates today, and they're on the younger side of things, and they're just so angry, and they're just so frustrated with the options and the issues that are being talked about that just do not resonate with them at all. It's not things that are important to them. It's not the things that they're worried about. If you're in your 20s, nobody's fucking talking to you.
Yep. Yep.
Like, they're talking to us in our 40s and stuff like that. And it's like, fuck that. No, don't talk to me. Talk to them.
Yeah. One of the things we saw with Chloe tonight, when she was talking to someone in the audience, she was like, I don't want to tell you what to do. I want you to tell me what you need. And that's the sort of thing, depending on who you're talking to. I think Mark's got it, though. ACT Vote's probably going to New Zealand first because Winnie's not shy. Yep. And I think when Winston's understood that he's pitching for that vote, and that means he's going to have to say some stuff that he doesn't agree with. Like, I don't care what you tell me about Winston, he doesn't agree with it. He knows how to play the game, and he's playing the game. Now, speaking of the game, Chewy, something else we've been saying for the last couple of months is that, and I hedge it a little bit because I can't remember what the results were in 2020 or 2017, I mean, but typically you need to be preferred Prime Minister to win an election. Let's just get back to these poll numbers with Newshub.
Any glimmers of good luck in there for Labor?
If those party vote numbers weren't gutting enough for Labor, the public is pouring salt in the wound. For the first time in 6 years, their leader is not the most popular. Christopher Luxon is on 24%, up 1.5. Chris Hipkins trailing way back 19.1%, down 3.4. Luxon has 5 points on him. The foes who must become friends, David Seymour and Winston Peters, now level pegging on 6.1 and 6 respectively. Chloe Swarbrick is gaining on 4.4. But as political reporter Amelia Wade explains, although Chris Hipkins' popularity is plummeting, the public wants him to stick it out for the election.
Yeah. All right. We've got so much to talk about tonight. We don't need to go into the sausage sizzle and the obligatory photo of Chippy eating a fucking sausage roll. So yes, look, a couple of things. Strong uphill battle. It's the rights to lose without question, I would think. Well, I'm going to say without question. You can question it. But you could also equally say 6 weeks ago, Luxon saying he was going to win and he wasn't preferred Prime Minister. So does that mean Chippy can take that line? He can say we're still going to win, even though he's not preferred Prime Minister in one poll. Let's be fair at the moment. But yeah, that's sort of the summation of the whole thing. I do have some footage as well from News Talk ZB with. Actually, maybe we'll play this. Here's a little one more thing. Actually, is there anything you want to pick up on before we do that, Chewy? I'll play a couple of minutes from News Talk ZB because it was Hosking talking to Seymour this morning about the coalition of chaos coming to the right.
I had a thought and now it is gone.
Well, how about you keep thinking about that, see if it comes back, and let's just have a listen to a couple of minutes of everybody's favourite right-wing alt-right commentator Mike Hosking. We don't actually feature him very often, if ever, on this show. By talking to David Seymour this morning after we found out that Luxon had to give Seymour a call last night to tell him what the announcement was going to be today. Just so you know, David, I'm going to be announcing tomorrow that I love Winnie. But I love you differently, David. But I do love you. I love you. He's no challenge to you. I still love you. I love you just the same.
What time did Chris ring you last night?
Oh, I don't keep a diary that close, but sometime late last night.
And was it a surprise?
Not really, because what Chris has just said is exactly what I've been saying for weeks, if not months now. Of course, you deal with the parliament that the people elect. If you didn't, you wouldn't respect democracy. However, New Zealand's got some pretty serious challenges to overcome, and our strong preference is a tight working relationship with the Nat so that we're ready for real change on day one. I think what this development really tells you is that if you want the government to change and the change to be real, then trusting ACT with your party vote is the most effective way to do that.
Should he have ruled Peters in or out earlier?
Look, I'm not into commentating. I mean, people can look at what I've done, and probably I would say that, that was the right position. The Nats are now taking a mirror image position of ACT. We welcome that. And if you're going to start commentating on the timing, I guess it shows that ACT often gets things right, and that's why I think we can make a valuable contribution to a future government if people choose to put us there.
There you go. So not all that happy. Now, here's the commentary. What this has done is this has given Winston all of the power, and it's taken all of the power away from Seymour. Because what they've just done is they've now said actively, we are united, we are together. National and ACT can be seen as one party now. I know they're not literally one party, but Luxon has committed to Seymour, Seymour has committed to Luxon, and they've said that their preference is just to be those two. So they're in together. There was all that kind of toing and froing a few weeks ago about Seymour saying, maybe I'll sit across the benches, maybe I'll give them supply and not confidence, yada, yada, yada. But now that they've made this statement, they are now one. What does that mean? If they can't get there, who has all the power? And that's Winston Peters. So they've actually made themselves look really weak, and they've given, should there be the need for him, that's a big caveat, all the power to Winston Peters, who may well be in kingmaker position again and might decide to go fishing again for a few weeks before any decision gets made, because he's as I've said it before, it's a technical term, I think it might come from the Latin, he's a vindictive old bastard. Shall we?
God damn it, New Zealand. Do you not learn fucking lessons? Just shut the door on Winston. It'll be his last election cycle. That's fine. We just fucking carry on. Every time we put him in this position, it is chaos. Yes, he played out for our side once recently. We wouldn't have had Jacinda. We wouldn't have had the same COVID response without him.
In fairness, I think he did it with Helen Clark as well. I think he was on Helen's team for a bit as well. So it's not just, but yeah, recently.
But you just don't know. You don't know where he's going to go. He's painted himself into a corner with the right wing this time. Who knows whether he's going to fucking stick with that or not? Like, his own voters should know that, right? Wow, I'm voting for Winston because fucking God knows what happens after that.
Well, he has called Labor racist, and he said he wouldn't go with them. But I'm sorry, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe if he gets the wrong deal from National. Like, what will he want? He'll want a pretty plum job. I mean, he may want to be Deputy Prime Minister again. He'll want a pretty plum job, and if he doesn't get it, and he has, like, let's say it's 59 or even 60 to National and Act, and it's 55 to Labour or the Greens to Pāti Māori, and he's got 6. If he doesn't get what he wants, Winston First is the other name for New Zealand First. I think it's unlikely, but I don't think it's impossible that he could go back with it.